Good afternoon, gamers, and welcome to another episode of Games with Dave. Today, I'm joined by a returning guest, Pawel Kicman, coming live all the way from Krakow, Poland. Pawel is currently kickstarting what looks to be an incredibly fun and spooky Mork Borg supplement called Your Necromancer, where you get to play as a monster. Welcome back to the show, Pawel.
Oh, thanks, Dave. I'm so glad to be here again. Hopefully not the last time.
No.
So yeah, many more projects to come. Hopefully equally interesting for you to cover on your show. So yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, well, you seem to have a very broad imagination, so I'm sure whatever you've got coming next is going to be just as interesting.
Fingers crossed.
So, one thing you got to do that I wanted to talk about, you got to go all the way from Poland to Gen Con this year.
No,
No,
actually, I was at Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, that's what it was. Sorry.
Yeah,
Comic-Con, how was that?
yeah, the San Diego one. It was nice, although yeah, you can judge by the kind of sound of my voice that it wasn't perfect because I was super tired. I mean, 16 hours by plane.
Wow.
It took its toll, and I was pretty tired, and it was like only 4 days. And I was trying to be pretty active and do a lot of different stuff. But yeah, other than that, it was great. I mean, it's one of the biggest, and not the biggest. I think the biggest is in Japan or in Italy, one of the biggest conventions in the world. So it was great to see such a grand event live and just take part in it. But yeah, but I had so much fun. I was able um to buy some stuff. I was able to just hear people talking about some super cool projects around tabletop RPGs as well. So it was really cool, and I wish I could make it longer. Just probably uh, come there earlier, get some sleep, and then with 100% of my strength just go into the weekend. But either way, it was super fun.
Yeah, I can imagine 16 hours of flying, especially both ways, must
Yeah,
have been exhausting. Wow.
yeah. Obviously, give it or take like 3-4 hours waiting at the airport because it wasn't a direct flight. Um, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, uh, it's still nice just to being able to go there, even though it's like I'm not sure, it was like 6,000 miles or something like that. So a
Wow.
long way, but
Yeah.
yeah, grateful that I had a chance to be there.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wish I had been able to keep up on Facebook because I did see that you were sharing some stuff throughout it, and I just wasn't able to keep up. And I wish I had been. I'll have to go back and check it out, see what you did. So, so let's get into the new Kickstarter, Kill Your Necromancer. I mean, this sounds like so much fun from what I've read. Um, what were some inspirations that got this game going in your mind?
Okay, I think before we went live, I told you about this. Well, I don't want to say old because some people might feel old when I say this. But the video game series called Dungeon Keeper, where you kind of get to play as basically devil, and you have your own dungeon, and you recruit your minions just to protect your dungeon from heroes and paladins and all that. So it was one, but I think it was just an idea, like just a spark initially. And I thought, okay, are there any undead classes in Mork Borg? And I found some kind of resembling undead, but I thought it would be cool to play as a monster. And I think there was this, I'm not sure if it was a game jam or if it was something else, like a topic on a forum, because it was 2 years ago when I came up with this. It was around kind of monster, um it wasn't it Monster Jam? I'm not sure. I don't remember, but it was something around kind of playing as a monster, as a kind of a topic in tabletop RPGs. So basically, I thought, yeah, it's a great idea. So let's think how I can make this happen. And I thought, yeah, probably it would be the best thing to do, a little like 2-pager for Mork Borg and see what happens. And it was actually what I've done at the time. So 2 years ago, I've created a kind of very alpha version of Kill Your Necromancer, 2-pager with just a little bit of flavor, a few tables. Very simple, but it was a base for what I'm doing now. And I was super happy. And, usually when I look back at my past projects, I'm like, oh, this is crap. But for this one, even though it was 2 years ago, I look back at it and I think it's cool. It's well written. It's a good idea. So that's why I wanted to make it longer. I just wanted to do it justice and make it kind of a full book, well, a zine, kind of, and just elaborate on those ideas to make them even better, and more kind of useful to play with.
Nice. And it's 32 pages, I believe I saw.
Yeah, I think it will depend, because we have the stretch goal that we can unlock to get 4 more pages. But also, I think we'll see how it goes. I think 32 should be, it should stay around that. But if I think that I need more, I will just add or more myself, whether we hit that stretch goal or not. But it might be the case that I feel like on 30 pages I've done what I wanted, and it's all I wanted to put into it. So it'll be 30 pages. So yeah, so a small thing, but we have a Mork Borg main book with everything you need, and that's just a supplement to play something different with a few dungeons and some random tables to just bring something new to the tabletop.
Excellent. I think it's going to be well received. It looks so fun. And one of the things that I think looks really fun about it are the 4 monsters you can play. For folks that may not have seen the Kickstarter yet, what can you tell them about the 4 monsters?
So yeah, so the base for monsters would be, or base for undeads would be, a ghost, a skeleton, a ghoul, and a zombie. So very classic, kind of, well, classes or roles, or just kind of type of monsters. But also, initially I thought, it gives you so much to work with, but also it created some problems, and I will get into that. But basically, I really wanted to make each class, each undead, very distinct, not only from kind of from themselves, but also from everything else that you could play as in Mork Borg or in other games as well. That's why each undead will be very special and will have its weaknesses, its strengths, for kind of special skill set, but also very distinct features that you don't usually use playing a kind of normal class. So for an example, a ghoul is just a very kind of a rabid animal, hungry for flesh. So playing as a ghoul, you cannot speak, you cannot even use any weapons or tools, because your brain is degenerated in a way that you don't even remember how to wield anything, like how to hold things. So basically, you have kind of a sense, and you can probably get along with some other undead, but you almost like an animal. Similarly, a ghost. It was a tricky one to design because I thought, a ghost, like in our imagination and movies and books, we think of ghosts as usually invisible. If they are visible, that's okay, but usually they're not material, so they can phase through stuff. Sometimes they cannot really interact directly with the physical world. So I thought, yeah, like, why not? Make a go. Let's make a ghost that cannot interact with material world at all, and let's see how it works. And I think it's super cool because, yeah, playing as a ghost, you can just phase through walls, for example. Although if it's thick, if it's like a solid or thicker piece of matter, you will get damage. So it's not like you can just fly through all the dungeon unscathed. That would break the game. But also you cannot physically interact with anything. So how to play as a ghost, So you have magic potential, so you can cast random spells. Some of those spells are very powerful, like you can basically shape shift into a physical weapon. Um,
Ooh,
or kind of semi-physical weapon that deals d10 damage, so a lot, so very
wow.
powerful. But also, you can cast a spell, and because you roll for the result, you cannot control your spells. You can roll for a kind of a spectral cough that'll kind of eat 1 HP of your overall health, and it'll just do nothing. So it's an element of risk, whether you want to use your magic or not. But because it's the only thing you can do really, other than scouting with limited options for that as well, you will probably roll to cast those spells, and you'll get sometimes hilarious results, because maybe in a fight that's just like, yeah, they probably can do it. Maybe you will turn into a sword for a few turns, but in a super intense fight where you really need to kind of be useful, you'll just get a cough for a turn or two. So yeah, so in terms of those classes, they probably wouldn't be super balanced playing like a campaign or something, but they are pretty much designed to kind of sit in the dungeon and be played as the characters that will last those 2, 3, 4 hours for a one-shot adventure.
Nice. The ghost sounds incredibly fun because if you're just invisible and you go up and you can cast a spell,
Yeah, so
you
so
get the
they are
surprise.
visible. Yeah,
Oh,
so they are visible in this game. Yeah, because it would be pretty difficult to design and to play. But yeah, they are visible. They can talk, so they could be like a good or a bad spirit of the team, literally. So
it sounds really cool. Um, so ghosts, ghouls, zombies, and skeletons. It looks like so far they have a few locations that they can hang out in to hunt for the necromancer.
yeah. So basically, the whole premise is that the player characters were resurrected by a necromancer with intentions unknown, and you know they are on a quest to kill said necromancer. It's a she, so to kill her. Uh, but the thing is that they were kind of trapped. They were resting in very specific places, very specific dungeons. So although you can place them in any dungeon and it'll work just fine, the 6 pre-made dungeons for this, that could also work for very different adventure. It doesn't have to be like with the necromancer and playing as undead. It could be used for anything else, and honestly it could be used for other games than Mork Borg. But there will be very peculiar. So one that we have a map for already is a Church of the Great Rat. And as some people can see on the map, it has a giant rat god dead body in it as a kind of as a corridor, as a place that you can kind of go to. There will be 5 more. One will be a graveyard in the grounds below, a battleground and kind of ancient battleground. One will be a fishing hamlet, so very kind of Lovecraftian in its tone. There will be this weird creature that comes to get children from the village, and you're kind of below that. Below is a well, and around that well is a dungeon where you lie. There will be some other. I don't want to spoil everything.
Oh, no,
Uh,
I don't want you
but
to.
each dungeon will be very, very distinct and a bit crazy. But also it will work for anything. I think any OSR game, and it will very much be useful for you know to play as kind of normal characters, not only undead.
Excellent. I can't wait. I cannot wait for this game. I'm going to have so much fun with it. So with the pledge levels at the Ghoul pledge level, you're actually giving folks some extra goodies. Can you give them a rundown of what they'll get if they go at the Ghoul level?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking, I knew that I would just wanted 2 levels, like a digital and a physical copy of the book. But some people, when I kind of announced it on my Discord server, they're like, okay, but maybe something else. Maybe we could get some goodies or something additional. And I just asked them, what do you think would be cool? And they said paper minis, and I thought paper minis. Okay, it's a tricky one because they would have to be designed and then just printed in a way that will kind of allow you to have a sturdy and long lasting figurine, even though it's just a paper. But I found a way. So it will be printed on a thick paper, on a kind of sturdy, durable paper, so it'll last very long. And I got Vault Crawler, who designed the cover for this game, to design the miniatures as well. And they're absolutely amazing. Like, I just fell in love with those miniatures. Now I will play every game with them. Just I don't know. I can play Cyberpunk with them because it's so cool. Um, so that's one thing, and obviously there will be a file for folks to print it themselves as well if they wish. But also in the bag of goodies there will be some stickers and a pin. So something just to it doesn't cost people much, it doesn't cost me much, but I think it would be fun just to have something like that just thrown in. It's always good to have a sticker just to put in a laptop or a pin on your backpack. Like I started collecting pins to put on my backpack, and I think it looks really cool because also it kind of shows your interest and your kind of journey. So I thought, why not? Uh, Although this project will be a bit different in terms of production, because for Mork Borg, for example, I'm printing everything in Poland, and I'll just ship this overseas for the backers in the US. And for this project, I will print some of the books in the US, some of the books in Poland to deliver across Europe and rest of the world. And all the goodies I will also print in Poland, because it won't be much, it won't be heavy, so it will probably like a one big package that I'll easily send overseas for my partners to then pack with the book and send across to everyone. But also, doing that, I can make sure that especially paper minis will be of high quality, and I can make sure that the stickers will and then the pin will also be of high quality. But also, it won't be super overpriced. So that's why I decided on that. So So yeah, so kind of that's the highest pledge. So cool paper minis, cool stickers, a cool pin, and obviously the game itself.
Awesome. Those minis and that cover, Vault Crawler, killed it. Like, they are all so
Yeah,
awesome looking. And he did the maps as well, right?
yeah, yeah. I'll be doing maps. In terms of the inside art, um, I actually found a guy who's doing stock art. It's Felipe da Silva Faria. Not sure where he's from. I guess Latin America. Um, and yeah, he's done some great stock art packs with undead, for example, with monsters. So I instantly bought it a few months ago, I think. It's just, yeah, it looks so cool. I have to use this in my projects. So that will cover some of the art. And I do also have a lot of different interior art to put in there. So it should look really good inside as well. But yeah, it will be very hard to match anything that I can do myself in terms of layout and design with and just bring it to the level of of the cover, because yeah, Vault Crawler just killed it. Um and yeah, and probably it will only be our last project together. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm super happy to have him on my side, and just to work with him on those projects, because definitely he feels kind of the mood of it. He knows Mork Borg, he's doing some great stuff. um so yeah, definitely someone to be kind of aware of for all the other kind of designers who are looking for an artist. Because yeah, I cannot recommend him enough. He's great, he's fast, he's very reliable, contact is great. So it does help that he's Polish. So but either way, an amazing artist, and I'm so grateful that I can work with him and kind of commission some art. So yeah, but it's yeah, as I've mentioned, it's not our last project. We are cooking something, but yeah, not gonna spoil anything yet.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it because I've seen some other pieces of his art and they're just phenomenal. And um, there's a stretch goal that you already mentioned that we're coming right up on, which is that the 4 pages it's coming up?
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And what are some of the other stretch goals? I know there's a mystery one that we'll leave alone, but what is the next one after the 4 pages?
So the next one is UV cover. And I think it wouldn't be only UV cover, but it would be just something to add a lot of panache to the physical product itself. Uh, I highly I'm not anticipating that we are going to hit it for 100%. We might get close. But also I really, for those stretch goals, I wanted to keep it very simple. I didn't want to overpromise. I didn't want to take too many stuff for the product, kind of that would disrupt the production. Um, so yeah, so basically, you can get a bigger book if we hit 5K. Then we can get some flair to the physical product, like a UV cover and some elements inside, maybe better paper. Although I'm always trying to make the product as good as it can be physically, in terms of the kind of paper quality and whatnot. And then yeah, a mystery. So I'm not gonna. I maybe I think I might use this mystery stretch goal for my next project, because it's really cool. But we'll see.
Cool. Um, so the I feel like we've kind of covered everything with this particular Kickstarter, but I did have a question about something we kind of talked about and that I saw posted. I believe it was in one of the Mork Borg updates. Was talking about a couple of your upcoming projects, and one I'm really interested to hear about is Whispers of the Woods. That sounds like it's going
Yes.
to be a spooky game.
Mm, potentially. It's something that I've actually, again, I have a working prototype. Actually, it's a trifold, um, kind of one-page game. There are like two pamphlets, one for the player, one for the GM. It's playable. It was tested, but I always wanted to do more. I really wanted this um, to be bigger and to be kind of to do it justice as with the Kill Your Necromancer. So it's going to be at least 60 pages book, black and white, with stylized art, stylized for kind of a how it's called. Oh gosh. Yeah, let me. I just need to refresh my
Yeah,
memory, and I'll tell
it's
you.
quite all right.
But kind of stylized art and stylized fonts, and the whole thing will be very much kind of a 18th century kind of stylistically, and also it'll be set in the 18th century, Middle Europe, so more or less kind of Germany. Although it won't affect the game itself very much, but it will have an influence on kind of the maybe not spooky, but kind of the more eerie side of the game, because it will be very much inspired by kind of Middle Europe, North Europe, Slavic mythologies and legends. And yeah, and it's going to be a very, very different game, very minimalistic and very narrative driven. So actually, you could potentially play this game without a dice.
Oh, wow.
You could you will be able to play this game natively solo or GM-less, because the way it will be structured will allow you to just take a book, and you can even play this game solo to a certain degree, and then you can get a friend to finish your journey GM-less, and then you can get someone else to be a GM, and you'll have a clear narrative structure that will be seamless. And because of the rules and because it's so minimalistic, it will be natively integrated for solo play as well. And some people will probably dislike it, people who kind of like crunch and they like rules and they like more complicated, more kind of complex, maybe not complicated but complex games, because this will be very focused on the narrative, and this will be a game for people who enjoy storytelling more than kind of playing mechanically. There will be rules to add to the game some more complexity, but in its kind of basic form, you will only have kind of D6 and your imagination, and a lot of random tables and a lot of kind of, I don't even know how to kind of call this. Um, I could say kind of adventure seats, but it probably it's not that. It's something more. You'd have kind of narrative pieces to kind of to use with the game to create kind of very kind of distinctive stories and very ambiguous stories, because it will be a very ambiguous game in terms of tone and kind of the whole structure, because especially, you know, you can do only so much playing solo bar, but for a kind of playing with the GM, there will be plenty of options opened to have players engaged very much on an emotional level. And I know, again, there are so many people that they just don't want those kind of games. They just don't want to, like, you know, go super deep, and then they just want to have fun, and that's okay. So that's a product for people who maybe enjoy from time to time something that they can really just sit down and really sink into, and drive that narrative, build that story. that might feel personal, that might feel challenging. And I'm not saying that it'll be like a game in which you, I don't know, like do super bad things and then and it will leave you, I don't know, scared or ambiguous. I don't want to like make something that people will kind of feel miserable playing. It'll still be, fun. You can still enjoy this, but in terms of kind of storytelling, it'll probably be a little bit more in depth than some other games that are kind of more focused on rolling the dice more often than not.
It sounds awesome. Like, I love narratively driven games, so I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I can give you a taste. So there will be there is a mechanic called a blind roll. So for people going into an event, because it'll be a hex crawl, so we'll go through from a hex to a hex, and there will be different types of events. And one event type particularly around kind of all what's eerie and mysterious and magical. It will activate sometimes. It will depend, but it can activate a blind roll kind of mechanic, and it works like that. You take a dice, you close your eyes, and you just roll the dice, and then you bet on what's the result. And depending on how close to the result you were, that will be the kind of that will set the consequences. And it feels like it's taking some kind of agency maybe from the player, but on the other hand, like it's just a roll, so you are basically still it's still kind of random. But I really want this to be kind of not only a mechanic, but something that will create harmony with the storytelling, with the narrative layer. So you close your eyes because you as a person, because you'll play as kind of villagers. You don't always see what's kind of behind the veil. You don't always see the what's magical. You don't always understand it. So that's why you close your eyes, because you just you are not it's like something so weird, something so different that you may not comprehend it. Hence closing the eyes will have a kind of different meaning as well, like not only mechanic but the narrative meaning. But there is a class in the game called a child. And as we all know, children tend to, have a better imagination than us adults, and they tend to be closer to all that's magical, especially in fiction. So that's why if you're playing as a children, you won't have you're not going to close your eyes for a blind roll, like, because you can see behind the veil. You're closer to what's magical and what's mystical. So that mechanic won't happen for a child. So yeah, so that's why I said it's going to be different. It's going to be more kind of narrative driven, and it will have mechanics like this one, which I hope would hopefully will set it apart from other titles. Not that I think for sure I can give my two hands on the platter that there are several games with kind of a blind roll mechanic or just a betting mechanic for sure. So it's not that I'm first to create it. But again, hopefully it will just enhance the experience and get players kind of closer to the story.
I think it's a really cool mechanic myself. So I hope everybody else agrees with both of us that it's really cool.
Hopefully, and actually, a kind of early sentiment from playtesting was also very positive. Like, people enjoyed this mechanic in particular. So that's something I'm definitely, and obviously, it's still in development. I know I've got Mork Borg to finish, then I have Kill Your Necromancer to finish, but still, kind of after that, I'll just properly sit down with Whispers to finish it, to kickstart it. And obviously, once the game is done, it'll be heavily play tested. So it might be the case that kind of blind roll mechanic will look differently in the finished product. But the idea will stay for sure, because I really want. I'm a fan of this kind of ludonarrative consonance or harmony, because in video games there's this term called ludonarrative dissonance, meaning there's a kind of dissonance, or it's kind of lack of harmony between the what you do mechanically in the game and what the story is set to tell. And it also applies for to kind of tabletop games, I think, and that's why I just want to try to make a gaming experience a part of narrative. Um, but then again, it will go through playtesting to see, to get that the right balance, because still it's a game. We want to have fun. We want to kind of go in depth. Maybe we want to be engaged, but also it has to be also fair. It has to be useful and usable. So we'll see how it goes.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited for it. So, well, that was all I had for today, my friend. Is there anything that you would like to add about the Kickstarter before we go off air?
Yeah, just support it.
Yeah, folks, get out there and back it. Get it up there so we get that UV cover. And yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
that would be
awesome.
great. And then yeah, and I think that's it. And just keep track of my projects. The next one I think will be a solo game. Um, so yeah, one more this year, and then we'll see probably what's coming after that. But yeah, for now, I'm all kind of elbows deep with Mork Borg, and also a little bit with Kill Your Necromancer. And hopefully people will like it. Hopefully it'll get a few more backers, and yeah, hopefully people will enjoy it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming back on, Pavu. I
Yeah, thank you
totally
for
enjoyed
having
our
me.
conversation. And as soon as you launch the next Kickstarter, we'll get something lined up and have you back.
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Dave. Really
All right.
appreciate it.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great day.